A day's journeying from Daventry has found you by the shores of Kolyma. Your ship, the Grand Thor, and its crew have deposited you and will return the day after tomorrow. Hopefully this will give you enough time to locate and release the imprisoned woman you saw in the magic mirror. Your vessel has safely transported you from your homeland of Daventry, finally depositing you on this pier in the land of Kolyma. As you watch the flagship of your fleet depart with pride, you also sense anxiety building within you. Once it is gone, you will be quite alone in this country. It's too late to change your mind about this whole quest. Your ship is leaving. Repressing the urge to burst into song, you choose instead to quietly admire the area. Bon voyage! A length of rope lies next to the crates at the end of the pier. The rope is old, worn, and weathered. It would be of no use to you. A net has been caught around one of the pier's pylons. You untangle the net from the pylon and take it with you. One of the pickets has fallen loose from the rickety fence. A picket fence extends onto the beach a short way. The fallen picket feels reasonably sturdy and is pointed at one end. Believing that you may find a use for it, you retrieve it and carry it with you. You are standing on a beach. Its sandy shore glitters. The azure water of the ocean laps up to its edge. A small cliff forms part of its coastline. You see a little girl wandering around the meadow. She wears a ruby-red cloak and appears to be searching for something.
Hello, who are you?
My name is Graham. What is yours?
Possum. That is what my grandma calls me. She is not at all well these days. I was collecting flowers for her, but now I cannot anymore.
Why is that?
My basket is missing. I've looked everywhere for it. It must be around here somewhere.
I will keep my eye out for it.
Thank you, Graham.
I was wondering, could you tell me anything about this land?
You mean Kolyma? There is a town to the northeast, and a church not far south of that. Grandma and I live in a house near the beach. You should not enter the swamp to the north. It is said to be influenced by magic. Many have easily lost their way in there, and finding your way out again is difficult.
Thank you, Possum. Is there any way at all through this swamp?
I do not know, but I did see someone walking out of there not long ago. He was writing something in a book as he walked.
Who was that?
A monk from the church.
You mentioned that your grandma is not well. What ails her?
I'm not sure, but I think it gives her sad dreams. While she sleeps, sometimes she talks out loud. Sometimes I listen to her. "No, do not leave me," she says. At first, I thought she was speaking to me. I would go over to her, but she would not notice me. Then I realized it was a dream. I think she misses the person she talks to in her sleep. And then there's the scary dreams.
You mentioned that your grandma had scary dreams. What are these dreams about?
Bats.
Bats?
Yes, in her sleep, she screams with fright, as if a bat is chasing her, or she's being hurt by one. Then she'll say something like, "Blue light is the bat's true bane," over and over.
Blue light? What does she mean?
I've asked her this, but she just shakes her head and will not speak of it.
Thank you, Possum. I wish your grandma a swift recovery.
Thank you, Gram. I will speak of you to her.
You have nothing more to say to Possum. You have run it. It is a baby bird, and not a terribly pretty one at that. The beautiful blue lake has a clear and pristine quality. You walk into position and try to catch the baby bird. You throw the net over the pond, and the baby bird is caught unharmed. A large lemon tree grows by the path. A winding path twists around the trees and bends through the forest. You reach out and pluck a large, juicy-looking lemon from the tree. The sign reads, "Town." There is a sizable hole in one of the trees. One of the trees here seems to be growing around some rocks. When you peer into the hole of the pine tree, you see a mallet lying there. You pick it up and take it with you. The only means of entering the town are currently open. The town gates are already open. If you remove the sign, the locals might remove something from you. Stealing is a serious crime in many lands.
Hey!
What? Who said that?
I did!
Huh?
I'm down here, in the hay!
Oh. Well, who are you?
My name is,
Yes?
I can't seem to remember.
Well then, what are you?
Oh, I'm
Yes?
can't seem to remember that either.
Well, what are you doing in this haystack?
That's easy. I was looking for, oh,
You can't remember.
no. Sorry.
How long have you been in there?
Let's see. It couldn't be longer than,
Yes?
3, maybe 4 weeks?
Weeks?
Yup.
Pardon me for saying, but you sound as if you have a bit of a cold.
Yes. It's all this hay. It's giving me hay fever.
Maybe you should do something to help the occupant first. After all, you don't want to get sneezed on while searching the haystack. The sign reads, Kolyma. This stylized symbol, positioned above the entrance, represents the township of Kolyma. It is not removable. Those trees do not look too healthy, and you don't really want to touch them. You see a man bending over the fountain. He appears to be trying to retrieve something from it.
Aha! Got him.
You have entered the town of Kolyma. What a charming place. Residents, farmers, and merchants make their way to and fro along the paths. A statue has been erected here, and many stores line the road to the east and north. 2 buildings in particular catch your attention: the antique shop and the town library. The door of the antique shop is your gateway to the priceless treasures beyond. Maybe. The door is locked. A sign next to it reads, "Open from noon till sunset." The sun's position in the sky indicates that it is currently morning. The owner must not be an early riser. A tall statue of a man stands prominently at the entrance of town. It looks to have been placed here quite a number of years ago. The statue bears a plaque which reads, Count Kaldor, ruler and protector of Kolyma. The merchant has a distinct out-of-town appearance and a get-out-of-town aroma. This horse must have skipped breakfast.
Greetings, merchant.
Ah, to you, good day. Shh. A visitor arrived new, no? A sense I possess for these things. Need you have for my wares of great specialty?
Perhaps, but first, I'm curious. Where did you come by such a pumpkin?
Eyes quite keen, have you? Indeed, a specimen unique it is.
Be quiet.
The gift of speech among plants so rare, yes?
Quite so. Are you planning to sell it?
Sell? Never would I sell such a thing as this.
It'll make me incredibly rich.
I mean, entrusted it was to my care. Watch over it, I must.
Mama! Take me back to my mama!
Forget it. I'm not taking you back to that patch. So pipe down.
Pardon?
Ah, of importance I speak not. Trouble to your ears I meant none.
It is simply an absolute pleasure. You do not feel like doing business with the merchant at the moment, and you do not have anything else to say. Yet. The horse doesn't belong to you, Graham. Just leave it be. The town library of Kolyma is not much more than a room packed full of books. You would imagine there to be quite a lot of interesting reading to be done here, if only you had the time to do it. Piles upon piles of unstacked books lay scattered around the library. Piles of... You're kidding, right? Not even Mary Poppins could clean this mess up. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Quest for Glory 4, Shadows of Darkness. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Police Quest 2, The Vengeance. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Space Quest 3, The Pirates of Pestilon. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Fathers. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Robin Hood, Conquests of the Longbow. You see some odd-looking boxes stacked neatly on top of the filing cabinet. They have titles written on the side, such as Leisure Suit Larry 4, The Missing Floppies. Presumably, these pull-out... You glance at the titles on this shelf. Chronicles of the Brady Bunch. Interesting, this book has a warning label. Prolonged exposure may cause irreparable damage to your perception of reality. A Traveler's Guide to Ludor. You skim through the book. It describes a small town which serves as a port of call for passing ships. Apparently, it is under the jurisdiction of a wizard who was not at all popular with the locals. Selling your wares without selling yourself. The art of being a lowly merchant and feeling proud of it. Mildly curious, you open the book. The first chapter is entitled, The Truth of Falsity. It begins to describe how to make a totally worthless item seem like a must-have for the gullible buyer. A later chapter entitled, The Serious Business of Talking Funny, details how to adopt a foreign accent and use fragmented grammar to convince the same gullible buyer that you are not just some ordinary con artist trying to make a quick gold. Euspheria, the many that became one. This book tells of how, over time, the realm of Euspheria ceased to be a multitude of feuding regions and became a united kingdom. Once unable to defend itself, even as a whole, it now has a large standing army. The present lord of the realm is said to be kind, generous, and wise. The art of becoming a portcullis to portcullis salesman. Melodies for minstrels. Ooga Booga Land and other undesirable travel destinations. The Carpenter's Handbook. The Big Book of British Smiles. Chronicles. A large grandfather clock sits against the wall. It seems to keep good time. The clock indicates that it is morning. You glance. Remember the Triton, an autobiography from the ruler of the Mer people. Icebergs and unsinkable ships. The Legends of Weirwood Forest. Trolls and Bridges, an obsession explained. Guidebook to the Land of Tamir. A Tale of the Flannelled One. Apparently, this book is about the author of a 6-part space opera. Livin' La Vida Loca. How Not to Turn a Novel into a Film. See Dune. Curses and Counter Curses, and How Not to Get Them Confused. 101 Things to Do When You Are Lonely. You are not even going to touch this one. Let's Get Physical. With what, you wonder? Modern Inventions Monthly. This month's edition focuses on an essay entitled Reinventing the Wheel. Shrimps and Barbecues, an Inexplicable Connection. Carnivorous Plants. When and what to feed them without arousing suspicion. It is written by a man named Seymour Krelborn. Cooking Tips for Singles. While you are single and you can't cook, you still have no need of this book. At least, not with the entire kitchen staff at your disposal back home. Even rotten tomatoes deserve a little respect. Remember the Triton. You glance at the titles on this shelf, revealing the truth about seeing unicorns and something about oneself in the process. Future's History, the true story of Space Quest 12. Gullible's Travels. A guide to bushranging, safety tips on robbery while wearing a metal box on your head. The Theory of Relativity and other half-baked crackpot ideas. Arrival of the Ancients, were their origins of this world. That seems like a silly title. Where else would they have come from? The stars? Chronicling the Longest Journey, or How to Sustain a Compelling Story when your lead character sounds like an airhead. Magic for the Layman. All you need is a good book. Dragon Slaying for Dummies. Dwarves are from Mars, elves are from Venus. The Taming of the Shrew. Jousting and other party games. The Beginner's Guide to Buying Your First Horse. Drunks and Monks, How to Tell Them Apart. Quest for Glory, A Hero's Death. 10 Easy Steps to Owning Your Own Castle. Revealing the Truth. Future's History, the true story of Space Quest 12. Gullible.
May I help you?
Yes, I was hoping to enrich my knowledge of this fair land by way of perusing your historical texts.
My, that was well put.
No.
Not terribly effective, though.
Pardon me, perhaps I was not clear?
You were.
Then may I?
No.
Why can't I?
You are not a member.
Well then, can I become a member?
No.
Why can I not become a member?
We already have far too many members. It's difficult to keep track of everything.
How many members are there?
2.
If I may inquire, who are your 2 members?
You may not. Neither the Count of Kolyma nor the elderly gentleman who lives next door would approve of my divulging that information to you.
Ah, thank you anyway. You mentioned the Count of Kolyma is a member of this library.
Yes.
Have you seen him recently?
The librarian looks at you strangely.
No.
Is there any way I might meet the Count?
Yes.
How?
Die.
I would have to die to meet the Count?
Depends.
On what?
Your importance.
And if I am important?
Then you might be fortunate enough to be buried on his estate.
Who is buried on the Count's estate?
Counts.
Aha, past Counts, of course. Anyone else?
Yes.
Who?
Him.
Pardon? Do you mean the Count is dead?
The librarian decides to avoid your gaze and seems disinclined to speak further with you on the subject. The librarian seems... The door is plain and has a mail slot. It also has a sign posted on it. You read it. You also notice something sticking out from under the door. There appears to be a sign on the door. You're not close. Making sure that no one is watching, you slide the wooden picket under the door and draw out what appears to be a letter. It is a letter addressed to the resident of the town. You open the letter and read it. Dear applicant, please find enclosed the library membership card to which you are now entitled. The 5-year application process has concluded, and we are pleased to inform you that your status as a member of the town library is confirmed. Welcome to an exclusive group of patrons. Yours sincerely, Town Librarian. P.S. Please sign your name on the card to ensure validation. You quickly grab the quill while the librarian isn't looking and sign your name on the blank library card. You replace the quill before the librarian notices it missing.
Will you accept this?
Yes, you are younger than I expected.
I eat well and get a lot of exercise.
I see.
So, what do I do now?
Borrow.
You mean I can take books from this library?
No.
Oh,
Yes?
could you recommend a good book?
There.
The librarian has placed the book on the desk for you to read. Thoughtful, isn't she? This book is entitled Kolyma, Perfect One Day, Better the Next. Browsing through it, you notice an interesting excerpt. You have nothing. This book is entitled The town continues to the east away, but you are not interested in what lies in that direction. The town continues to the north away, but you are not interested in what lies in that direction. This pumpkin is somewhat larger than the others in the patch. You look for a nice large pumpkin to take from the patch.
Hey, watch it!
Oh, sorry. I was not aware you could talk.
Likewise. Anyway, be careful where you're treading. You're spoiling the good soil by standing so close. And I got 8 kids to feed.
You glance at the smaller pumpkins. These must be her children.
I only count 7.
Yeah, well, I had 8. Then some strange man who spoke even stranger came by. He claimed to be a horticle, claimed to know a bit about plants. I let him take a look at my little darlings. Anyway, before I knew it, he'd gone and pinched one of my babies. Took off towards the town, he did. Of all the naive. Just because we're plants doesn't mean we don't deserve any respect.
I am sure that is true. Pardon me for asking, but how did you come by the ability to talk?
With a question like that, I might ask you the same.
I was only...
I don't take it personal. That old witch Agatha cast a spell on me so I could guide her precious possessions.
Hagatha?
Yeah, she's the old bag who lives in that cave to the west. You know her type. Green warts, pointed ears, cannibalistic, doesn't put her trash out. Just your stereotypical evil old crown.
She sounds pleasant. You mentioned something about guarding Hagatha's precious possessions.
At least what she considers precious. I reckon they're anything but. Mind you, I have my doubts about Hagatha's legitimate ownership of this stuff, if you know what I mean.
What sorts of items does Hagatha wish you to guard?
The usual vanities. All useless in my opinion. But what would I know?
The mother pumpkin looks The small awning above the door might provide some shade for about 5 minutes each day. You have come upon a quick little dwarf. Dwarves have a bad reputation for stealing treasure. Be careful. Three gold coins shimmer in a nearby patch of grass. High in the treetop, a rope is tied to a branch. You notice a thick rope dangling loosely against the trunk of the tree. Upon closer inspection, you see that the rope actually runs away from the tree and into the thick grass on the forest floor. This is obviously a trap. As you pick up the gold coins, they suddenly turn dark. Now they resemble ordinary metal. Wait a minute. This isn't gold. It's fool's gold. The fool's gold again shines the instant the coins leave your hand.
Three coins in the fountain.
What? Let me see.
The baby pumpkin seems a little more settled than it was with the merchant, but you sense it still wants to get home. You are not into smashing pumpkins.
My baby! Mama! Thank you,
Graham.
Thank you, Graham. Here, take this. Maybe this useless trinket of Haggathis will be of some use to you. Serves you right for not enabling me to protect my kids.
The pumpkin hands you a gold brooch with a beautiful blue sapphire.
Is there anything more I can do for you?
Me thirsty, Mama. Now that you mention it, my baby is feeling a bit poorly. After all, living in a bowl ain't too good for your health, you know.
No, I did not know that. What would make your baby feel better?
Fresh water, naturally.
Of course.
Not too sweet, though. In fact, the more bitter the better. My children are very particular about what they drink.
I will see what I can do.
You can't use... It is a natural spring flowing from the rocks. A pool of water collects at the base. You fill the bowl with the fresh spring water. After using your sword to cut the lemon's surface, you squeeze some of its juice into the bowl. Then you discard the lemon. The bowl is now filled with lemon-scented water. You pour the bitter water over the baby pumpkin. It seems to like that.
Thank you again, Graham. Here, take this.
The pumpkin reaches into her head and pulls out a candle, which she then hands to you.
That thing has been jammed in my head for as long as I can remember. I know it ain't much, but maybe you'll find some use for it.
Thank you.
Don't mention it. Besides, it's really hard for me to sleep with that thing lit up inside my head all night.
This is the northwest corner of Weirwood Forest. Passage to the south is blocked by a plethora of large bushes and plants. To the west, you see the rear of some sort of cave. To the far west, you notice a path running north. You release the little bird into the pond. You pick up the white feather and put it carefully away. You see a large, dark rock. Not an ideal place to relax. Not. You look under the log and discover a clam lying beneath it. You pick it up. quaint cottage is, for the most part, well managed and orderly. Someone has obviously put a lot of effort into its upkeep. You feel that you might be welcome here. It is a mailbox. This is the first time you have ever set eyes upon one, which isn't surprising. The postal system won't be invented for another few centuries to come. The residents of this land must either possess clairvoyance or just simply be ahead of their time. You open the mailbox. Inside there is, incredibly, a letter addressed to the resident. You decide to leave it in there. A card has been dropped in it also. You read it. You replace the card and close the mailbox. It feels fine. Incredible. The door you have discovered has taken on the appearance of a face. It is silent, however, and almost seems to be waiting for something.
Greetings. I am King Graham of Daventry. Would you, by any chance, know of the way to a strange island on which stands a quartz tower in which a beautiful woman is being held captive?
You feel more than a little foolish. Surely a door, even one with a face, would neither hear nor understand you.
I am the door of destiny. I am sought out by many, found by few, and opened by none so far. For indeed, only once can I be opened. Such is the magic that I am. Through me will you find the destiny you seek, if you can but perform a task.
Anything!
You feel intense exuberance that you have come so close to your goal in such a short time.
You must bring me the gems of nature.
I beg your pardon?
The stone door rumbles from deep within. For a time, it says nothing. And then,
Gems of 3 I ask of thee to fetch, collect, and bring to me. In water shall you find the first, though not the type to quench your thirst. Spy the second, high in the sky, with wings or no, thou still must fly. Through swampy mire, so it is heard, in lone dark castle lies the third. Should you succeed, my noble king, to your fair maiden I will bring. I warn you though, you should beware, a danger cloaked awaits you there.
Without warning, the stony face falls silent. As you watch, it gradually smooths out to become the mountainside face once more. You notice that, within the door, 3 shallow indentations have sunk into the rock's surface. Presumably, the 3 gems of nature must fit here. Now all you have to do is find them. How did that poem go again?